Let's talk about the Legend of Hanzack. He started playing Arimaa in 2009. I didn't know until just today that he joined the day after I did. Maybe that's why Chess and Go thought that he and I were the same person for a little while. The first time I saw Hanzack, he was outside being walked by his previous owners. He was one of the strongest Arimaa players. Hanzack was 6 months old at the time. He was such a good Arimaa player that I named my cat after him. My roommate and I needed a new couch. Why we needed a new couch, that's another story. My roommate's girlfriend's coworker was moving out of the city and they were selling their furniture, including this couch. We went to look at the couch and this cat played with my shoelaces and they mentioned that they had to give their cat away too. They couldn't take their cat to the place that they were moving to. And I had no intention of getting a pet at the time, but he kind of just popped out of the couch when we got it home. I had to pay $20 for the carrier, but that's it. That's how we got a cat. His name was Charlie when I first got him, but I knew that that name had to change because that was the name of a little dog in the same city that would pee on people. And so I didn't want my cat to have the same name as that dog. The day after I got him, I logged onto the Arimaa website. I logged into the Arimaa chat room, and Hanzack was there and said hello to me and drew a cat face. I said to him, "Hanzack, how did you know I just got a cat?" He said, "I live by you." He's a bit of a character, so I played along. I said, "Oh, do you live in the apartment complex across the street?" He said, "No, I live in your house." I said, "Wait, you are my cat?" He said, "Meow." So that's how my cat got his name. He was the best cat I could have asked for. Hanzack and I have played against each other twice, both in World Championship events. I beat him in 2011, and he returned the favor the next year. In 2012, he went on to become the world champion. I'll do another video where I go over my games against Hanzack. He would go outside and come back. Sometimes he wouldn't come back at night, and so he would stay outside until the morning, and I'd let him in when I woke up. He had an interesting playstyle. He would get himself into awkward-looking positions, but then found a way to make it work and would get out of trouble and win. When he wanted to go outside, he would communicate by where he stood. So if he stood by a water dish, that meant he wanted me to refill it. If he stood on the back of my chair, that meant he wanted a treat. And if he stood by the door, that meant he wanted to go outside. He would lose games on purpose. He'd play until he had a goal and won, and then let the opponent goal or just resign. Fritzline convinced him to play games in unrated mode. He's one of the strongest Arimaa players, but has a low rating. It's kind of funny. He was a hunter. He would bring back home various small animals. If I get another cat, I will not let it go outside for the sake of the bird population. For some reason, one move that stood out to me was when he just swapped a cat and a dog, which was such a simple thing to do, but it really did make his position hold. It would have been hard to keep Hanzack inside, though. He was very determined. There was a time when he could get outside on his own. He played over 1,800 games, most as silver. I'm not sure why there was such an unbalance. I chose this apartment because it has a cat door into the backyard, and the cat door goes to this cage, which has a walkway to a bigger cage in the back. And if I left the door open, then Hanzack could walk across the lawn past the prickers, jump onto some tires, and then jump onto a small shed, and then walk across the fence to get to the back and hop down. And he could hop onto a well-placed post, and from there hop onto the fence again, and do all of the other steps in reverse to get back in on his own too. His playstyle was so different from other people's that a tactic is named after him, Hanzack's defense, in which a piece can't be captured only because there's no space around the trap to do the capturing. He and I would play a copycat mirror game, where if he looked to one side, I would look to the same side, and if he put a paw out, I would put my arm out on the same side, etc. And if he walked away from me towards the door, say, because he wanted to go outside, then I would walk away from him, letting him know that I'm not going to let him outside. And he would get that signal and then walk towards me again, and I would mirror that and walk towards him. But that only gave him hope that I might let him outside, and so he'd walk away from me towards the door, and we'd repeat like that. Hanzack adopted a mirror strategy against chess and Go, where, as silver, he would copy gold's moves for the beginning of the game, and the position would stay symmetric. He ended up winning that game too. I'll go over his games from that championship and how he became champion in another video. Hanzack defended humanity in 2012 in the Arimaa Challenge, winning all 3 games against Bot Briareus. In his 3rd game, he even gave up a cat handicap and still won. My cat was smarter than the smartest computer by a whole cat. Let's review those games in a future video. To him, Hanzack meant treat. He may or may not have been the Prime Minister of Japan. It's unclear. I'd mostly call him Bugface, though. He was a college student in Japan when he started playing Arimaa. He drank by dipping his paw in the water and then licking his paw. Last I heard, he lived somewhere in Europe. He was fairly social, always wanted to be in the same room as people, but not too close. He hung out in the chat room quite a bit. He would leave links and call people Arimaa babies and just generally share interesting things. He was a character. Plenty of my neighbors have stories of him jumping in their cars or walking into their apartments. I've had a couple neighbors try to adopt him and tell me that they've been feeding him. He was very food motivated, so I'm sure he was happy about that. He played one game where all of his pieces returned to their starting squares at the end, and he captured all of the opponent's pieces, including the elephant. I tried to potty train him when he was young to use the toilet. I wonder what he's like in person. He was a little bit chubby, but mostly just big-boned. I don't know what Hanzack looks like. He would sit in this way where he kind of looked like a loaf of bread. We called him a cat loaf. Hanzack was the first person to play blindfold Arimaa. He had laser eyes. He's a bit mysterious. He had a loud meow. Hanzack is a bit of a legend. He was afraid of vacuums. I hope that I get to meet him someday. He had seizures where he would shake for just a few seconds at a time. The vet put him on some medication, which did make the seizures go away. He passed away 1 year ago. He had diabetes. I should have noticed the symptoms earlier than I did. It hit me a lot harder than I would have expected. It's easy to take things and pets and people for granted until they're gone.
Hi, kitty bitty. Kitty kitty. Oh, who found the ground? Kitty found the ground. Where's the ground?
Until next time, Arimaa babies. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe because